was an undergraduate, the late science fiction writer Ray Bradbury came to speak at the university I was attending. He said something that ignited my 20-something brain, and which I still try to live by. Ray Bradbury said, "Every morning I get out of bed and I step on a landmine and I blow myself into 1,000 pieces. I spend the rest of the day putting myself back together." I relish this notion of recreating myself daily, of finding new patterns and combinations to order my being, of not being fixed, static, or predictable. But that's pretty contrary to the prescribed way we have of thinking about ourselves. We are defined by and define others by our labels and titles, our nameplates and badges, the stickers we put on our water bottles and bumpers. But our common ground is never found in such labels. Our bumper stickers can actually divide us. For the next few moments, let's consider how we can blow ourselves up so that our labels become obsolete. What are some of your labels? Mr., Mrs., Ms., Madam President, Senator, Officer, Mother, Father, Son, Daughter? What do you do for a living? Are you a doctor, lawyer, candlestick maker? Are you gay, straight, non-binary? Are you married? Do you have children? One of the ways that I recreate myself is I think about myself in totally new ways. Here are some of my self-given titles. I am a kisser of boo-boos, a taker and hanger of photos, a capturer of memories as my daughters grow. I'm a holder of friends' hearts, an encourager of the depressed, a cheerleader of the brave. I'm a walker of dogs, a feeder, petter, and poop scooper, too. I'm a river floater, a hill descender, a red rock seeker. In addition to thinking about myself in new ways, I like to make other people think too. I once had a bumper sticker on my car that said, "God is coming, and she is pissed." I'm pretty sure it was that bumper sticker that got my car keyed, scrape all the way down the side. Oh, unless black Hyundai accents just offend you. Ooh, those damn Hyundais, they're ruining the world. Are you Christian, Buddhist, agnostic? I'm a freelance polytheist. Are you Republican, Independent, Democrat? I've been all three. I'm a freelance polypartyist. What do you believe in? What are your hopes for our nation, for our community? Do I want border security? Of course I do. But a wall? As Robert Frost writes, something there is that doesn't love a wall, that wants it down. We could learn a lot from Frost. Do I believe in gun control? Well, I believe that most people who own guns control themselves. But because there are some who don't, we've got to do something to intervene. Do I believe in capital punishment? You bet. I think there are some crimes which should get you voted off island Earth. As you can see, I don't really tote any one party line. Wouldn't we be better off if we were all poly-whateverists? Do we have to hate each other, avoid each other, never have difficult conversation? I grew up in Grand Junction, Colorado, and when I was growing up here, it was kind of more of a hick town. I moved away after high school, and when I came back, it had become a city with severe growing pains. Like it or not, we have outgrown the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant labels which defined us 50 years ago. A whole new influx of people now call the Grand Valley home. We need to start thinking about our town as the city it's become. I have a friend from the Western Slope who married a man from Pittsburgh, and she was telling me this great story about the neighborhood he came from, where there were all sorts of people. There was a Hungarian family, an Italian family, a Polish family, a Turkish family, and they all celebrated one another's differences. Whenever one culture had a holiday, that family would make food, and the whole neighborhood would turn out to celebrate. What a lovely concept. Rather than condemn people who are different than us, we need to get to know them. Here's a personal example. I currently serve as the president of the Mesa Valley Education Association, which is our local teachers union. Oh, apparently there's some members in the house. I've had a lot of fantastic experiences in my 4-year tenure, but one of them was an encounter I had with Jeff Hurd, who was chairman of the Grand Junction Chamber of Commerce at the time. Jeff and I were part of a roundtable discussion talking about policy issues with local stakeholders. Jeff and I had never met before this event, and we both came with our labels. He's an attorney, chair of the chamber, a little on the conservative end. I'm a teacher, president of the teachers union, a little more on the liberal end. I don't remember exactly what the conversation was, but Jeff said something about those damn teachers unions and how they were impeding public education. But he didn't have all of his facts right. He was just believing in the labels. So I interjected and I said, well, actually, it's like this. And there was this wonderful moment of grace in which Jeff paused and said, oh, really? I didn't know that. We don't have many moments of grace like that anymore. Usually we're so backed into our corners of dogma and propaganda that we shut down hearing, but not that moment. Jeff approached me after the event and I said, hey, we should go out for coffee. I'd love to further this conversation. He agreed, and a week later we met for coffee, and it was a fantastic hour spent at Main Street Bagels. We discovered we were both graduates of Grand Junction High School. We both credited Dennis Kiefer, our English teacher, for why we love literature and could write well. We both love poetry and Shakespeare. Jeff recited his favorite Shakespearean monologue for me, and I recited mine. We talked about politics despite our differences, and we both lamented the polarization which exists. And you know what? All the labels just dropped away. We were just two people having conversation. Grand Junction, and indeed every community, needs more moments like that. That moment was a gift to me, and we can be gifted more moments like that if we just check our labels at the door, if we stop wearing our bumper stickers on our foreheads. In order to really grow up as a city, we need to defy and even ignore our labels. Just swap poems. Recite Shakespeare in a coffee shop. I taught English at Mount Garfield Middle School for 12 years, and during, some Gators! And during students' 8th grade year, they would study the Holocaust in social studies, and then we would read the Diary of Anne Frank in English class. Well, my students, in addition to reading Anne Frank, read a whole host of other literature centered around a theme of us versus them. We talked at length how we as humans perpetuate polarization whenever we encounter someone who looks or thinks or acts or prays differently than we do. We divide people into us versus them so quickly we don't even realize it's happening. And if it's left unchecked, it can develop into apathy for another's plight at best, or at worst, persecution on a scale of jokes and slurs all the way to murder and genocide. How else do you explain the Holocaust to 14-year-olds? How else but that we fear what we do not understand? Whenever one group feels threatened, they will quickly find a them to blame, and then the propaganda starts. And we either believe the propaganda and join in the blame game, or we feel paralyzed to fight against it, and our silence is mistaken for consensus. Well, the propaganda in our community sounds a little bit like this right now. Those damn liberals, they want to take away all our guns. Those damn conservatives, they would arm their own infants. Those damn tree huggers, they want all the oil and gas people to lose their jobs by shutting down drilling. Those damn oil and gas CEOs, they would destroy the earth for their profit. Those damn gays, they want to convert all our youth. Those damn homophobes, they would eradicate the planet of anyone who's not straight. That damn Colorado Mesa University, it wants to erase all our town's history by renaming North Avenue University Boulevard? This damn town is so stuck in the past. Oh, and don't forget the damn Hyundai's overseas disease. Isn't it all ridiculous? How do we believe all of this nonsense? I believe there are two reasons. Reason number one, the damn media. The damn liberal media, the damn conservative media, and the damn social media. We must not forget that the primary role of media is profit. It's about advertisements and sponsors and ratings and money. And they make money by keeping us afraid. Polarization drives fear. If we believe that someone different than us threatens all we hold dear, it's really easy for us to label them as them with a capital T. Social media just exacerbates the situation because the algorithms are literally set to feed us what we already think, desire, and believe. Social media hooks us to our friends, yes, but often our friends are a lot like us. In order to really grow up, we've got to encounter people who are different than us. But the internet filter bubble pushes us in the opposite direction, creating the illusion that our narrow self-interest is all that exists. So what's the solution? Boycott all media? No, we have to be informed. But we can be conscious consumers of media. Ask questions. Read what the other side is saying. Be balanced. In order to really grow up as a community, we need to encounter people who are different than us. Do you have any friends who are a different race, spirituality, sexual orientation than you do? Do you ever discuss religion or politics with people who don't share your views? Why not? Ooh, it's not polite. I know, I get it. Every Christmas on the way to Grandma's house, we say, nobody talk about religion or politics and it'll all be fine. But that's precisely what is ailing us as a community and a nation. Think about it from a psychological standpoint. If someone we love has a psychological issue, we would never say to them, don't discuss your issues, just bury it deep. No, we urge them to see a counselor, to talk about it, to process, to get feedback in order to heal. If we can never discuss what makes us different, what separates us, then how can we heal our collective wounds? Because we are bleeding right now. Don't you feel it? Aren't you tired of it? I try to open myself up to others' opinions. It's not always easy. I have some strong feelings about guns. Now, I grew up with guns. I worked at a skeet shooting outfit in high school, and I was the queen of the shooting range. But as an adult, I don't own them. And as a teacher, I've come to have some opinions about needing gun control. Well, I was traveling to a conference with a fellow teacher, and she mentioned that she had her concealed carry permit. There was a gun in the car, and there'd be a gun in our hotel room. And I kind of started to freak out. I could feel in my body the pull of polarization, and I had to work really hard to de-escalate myself so that we could just talk. She did that same self-work and de-escalated herself, and for 4 hours on the way to Denver, we discussed gun control. We were both really engaged in the conversation rather than in making debate. We started talking about whether teachers should be armed at schools, and I was like, no. But she said this. She knew I was an avid cyclist, so she said, Heather, you spent tens of thousands of hours on your bikes. You can do things on your mountain bike and your road bike because of practice that other people can't do. She said, I've spent thousands of hours with my guns. I'm as comfortable with shooting as you are with biking. She went on, I don't want you to be armed at school, but I feel confident. Well, that's probably good. Yeah. She said, I don't want you to be armed at school, but I feel confident that if they would offer active shooter training to me, I could use my experience to protect my children with my gun. I don't know if she changed my mind, but she certainly opened it. The gift that teacher and I gave each other that day was to just listen to each other and to not raise defenses because we were hearing something contrary to our own beliefs. In order to really grow up, that's what we've got to do. In my favorite poem, On the Pulse of Morning, Maya Angelou writes, history, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. It will take courage to open ourselves up to other opinions, to blow up the us versus them paradigm in order to recreate our communities. I just heard an episode on Colorado Public Radio, and the journalist talked about having attended a folk dance event here in town. She said that what struck her was the variety of people out on the dance floor. One man had a Make America Great Again shirt on, and another woman was obviously dressed like a hippie. All sorts of people from all walks of life, all dropping presumptions and just engaged in the dance. That is the type of community we can have. I dare say that's the type of community we all envision, because life is a dance. And above all the hatred and misperceptions and finger pointing, there is music waiting to be responded to. I am the them your us warned you about. Would you like to dance? Thank you.